I recorded my last Bitcoin video when price was just over the shoulder right here, and I put on this weekly 10 EMA with this horizontal, and I let you know two major ways that price would interact with it. One is a failure pattern, which price would go above it and would not use it as support on the way back down, or what's happening, looks like it's happening right now as I'm recording this, is a rejection pattern. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to manage the short-term time frames, and I'm going to show you, hey, if Bitcoin can do this, then these two upper targets are initiated, and I'll cover why those are the two upper targets and why Bitcoin would likely start slowing down there to some degree. And then I'll also show you if this continues to be a rejection, what that's going to look like, and why it does seem to be shaping up right now that price is going to be rejected here to get some form of pullback, not a reversal, but a pullback. I think momentum's a little too strong to the upside to have a full-on reversal here at the moment. So we're going to dive into those two ideas, mix, just basically what is going to happen at this line. And that's what we're going to do. Let's get it. Downside, and what I covered last video is I mentioned that the idea of a pullback typically happens after the 1 hour RSI. So this is Bitcoin's 1 hour chart. I'm on the RSI. All right. And the specific indicator that I'm using is, hopefully I can get it real quick here, is on here somewhere. It is called RSI plus EMA. RSI plus EMA. All right. It is called this one, made by Crypto Crown, 1520 right there. So I mentioned in there that you need the RSI to both leave the green zone and get rejected here. I did not anticipate it coming all the way up and getting a second rejection as it still went up, but the momentum is heavy. So the same idea. RSI has left the green zone or the bullish zone and is potentially getting rejected by this. Plus, a third thing is, check out what's happening right there. Let's zoom way in. So you got two things: left the green zone, got rejected, and the icing on the cake is why I think this is shaping up to be a rejection is the RSI went under the EMA after leaving the green zone. This is not confirmed yet. So this hour has to, actually the next 2 hours, this can't be confirmed as a rejection for a couple hours. But if you see over the next couple hours, this juncture here either tick down and close, or the next one ticks down and closes, which means, we got about 2 hours to wait to see a confirm rejection of this, because as of now, it could just keep going right through, right? Or this one closes here, the next one starts down, but before the hour closes, it pumps up and then goes through, right? Because this last juncture there, the very, very last juncture is moving. And I think it actually moved as I was recording and talking. So this is flexible until this hour's locked in. Then the next hour ticks down and say it just moved again and locks in. That is a confirmed rejection. And you have a very, very, very strong edge for a pullback. But it is not confirmed. Now, how can you see that rejection shaping up without using that tool? If you don't like to use RSI, it's just the 5-minute candles. Throw on the weekly 10 EMA. This is called an MTF EMA indicator. So I can have the weekly 10 on with the 5-minute chart. So this is 5 minutes. If 5-minute candles can't get it back above this red line and use it as support, well, then that RSI is going to be confirmed locked down. That's essentially what's going to happen. You can see it with the candles too. You don't have to have that. You're going to be able to see how these candles, the tiny candles, are interacting with this red line. I promise you, you can see it. All right. Could it do some tricky stuff on there? Yeah. I mean, it could look like it's going to go down, but either way, if it comes back up, you're going to see 5-minute candles get on top. So maybe you could have a fake out down, boom, get back on the red line, bounce on it, and then start taking off. So this would be the red line. Either way, even if there's tricky stuff played, your 5-minute candles are going to get back on top, bounce on it for several candles, and then go, and that would be initiating targets to the upside. But before we get there, it looks like it's getting rejected. So as long as, and just because you see a 5-minute candle or two go above does not initiate the upper targets, because it's likely at that point that it just comes back down and doesn't use this red line as support. It just goes like this, boom, and then gets rejected again, which would be a failure rejection pattern. So let's make this guy red. Actually, let's go like this. So rejection, then failure patterns happen all the time too. So you could have something to this effect. If this looks like a rejection so far, you could get a downside move, come up, And if this happens, the upside targets are not initiated yet, and then you come back down, and then you can't use it as support, and you go lower, and then you initiate the pullback. So this would be a rejection, or let's make this a different color. Let's make it green. Let's try that again. Rejection failure pattern, or this one is still making higher highs and higher lows on the 5-minute chart. This still has a decent chance of creating a failure pattern first, and then a rejection second. That easily could happen, right? And so neither of these cases use this as support. See how it just goes above and doesn't get on it, right? So what would, and so those are the two ways I could see the pullback being initiated. A third way is it just gets rejected once, makes lower lows, and doesn't, bump its head on this again. That would be a third way. However, I think there's a good chance price interacts with this line for the next, several hours before it gives up. All right, that's what I'm anticipating. So that's to the downside. The 3 downside targets that I have, is the major one is the daily 21 EMA, and that price point is coming in. So let's say it takes this long to get here. This is starting to curl up. It'll be about 20. It'll be just around 21,000 bucks, almost on the nose. And again, that would be this yellow line, going forward in the future and slightly sloping up. All right. Another area for a pullback before higher local highs. So which means a pullback before this high is broken, and you go up to the next targets, which I'll cover here, at the end of the video. Make sure you stay tuned, because I'm going to show you why they're the upside targets and what they are. Is just this trend line. A lot of people are going to trade this trend line. So if it comes down to hit this trend line, you are looking at a pullback somewhere of 21,760. All right. Another whale fake out. They might want to just go grab so people who recently longed Bitcoin, right? They have, most of them either have stops or liquidations if there's high leverage stuff. And a lot of that's going to be under this area here. So big money might have their bots looking down and seeing a lot of liquidity. They know they're going to push it up, but they want to go grab this first and then push it up. So it's going to be a horizontal, just a liquidity grab play about right here. Somewhere there, it will go under these wicks, and maybe even under this wick. So it's going to be somewhere between, it's going to, if this were to play out, if that were their play, the whale play, it'd be close to 21,340. All right. And so again, the 3 pullback areas, if we can confirm this as a pullback, which is looking fairly safe now, but it is not confirmed. I'm telling you, if we zoom in on here, like for the 5-minute chart, it can just, it can keep going like this for several hours. So just because we see this nice rejection doesn't quite mean anything yet. And so I don't expect these targets to be hit within the next hour. It could be 2 days. It could be a day. I mean, and it could be also 2 hours. You don't know. So the timing, I don't want to time this. I'm just showing where are sellers going to stop becoming such aggressive sellers, and when will buyers become more aggressive buyers. These are the 3 areas and why. A trend line, people are going to play that. Algos, they might want to swipe down and grab liquidity. And then the daily 21, just algos and people, would trade this up. And these are 3 junctures specifically in which current sellers that brought price there would have incentive to stop selling so hard, and buyers would have some form of incentive or signal to start buying. Therefore, the sell vector would shrink and the buy vector would grow. I don't know at which point the buy vector would surpass it, but it would likely be one of these 3s for the initiation from this rejection point here. Okay. Now, if price can get back above here, let's go look at these upper targets. So I already drew what that would look like. Whichever way, shape, or form it happens, a lot of weird stuff could happen. But at the end, before it goes up, you're going to see that red line be acted as support by 5-minute candles. It's not just going to go, boom, bam. That's not going to happen. It could, obviously, I'm not the king of Bitcoin, right? I can't just it's not going to happen. It's very improbable, and that's just not how price works typically. And there's no incentive for whales to do this either. Their algos are going to want to do that. So there's very little incentive. So if whales don't have much incentive, and that's just not how price moves, then it's very likely not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. Highly unlikely. So either way, shape, or form, you're going to see 5-minute candles bounce on this line, and then we're going to start looking up and what and where are those targets. All right. And this is the time for returning viewers to hit the freaking thumbs up to help out your content creator so I can keep making these videos for you during my lunch breaks during the week. And new viewers, this is the time to go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the bell with all alerts so I can keep you in the know on Bitcoin. And again, we don't just cover short-term price action. It's a lot of midterm and long-term as well, but today is the short-term because my analysis from yesterday is just playing out right now. Okay. If you see the initiation of upward price action, then the two areas of resistance are going to be your daily 89 EMA, and I'll show you why in a second, and this area here. And I think it would hit the top of 22.8 or 23.200 roughly, just shy of 23.2. Now, why are those levels significant? All right, so let's dive into... Let's show you why. Try to clean up this chart just a tad. There we go. Let's go to the 4-hour chart, and I'll only leave on the daily 89 EMA, which is purple. On Bitcoin, the daily 89 EMA is a very, very, very common rejection point. In a bear market, rejection, rejection, failure pattern, small rejection, 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 rejection. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, 7 times it's already happened. Adding an 8th time, it's not out of, it's pretty reasonable. It's, you know, it's happened a lot, so happening again is not that much of a surprise, right? So if you see 5-minute candles jumping up there to go all the way up to just shy of 20, what was it? I forget, 23,200. Yeah, just shy of 23,200 is an extremely reasonable area for Bitcoin price to spike up before wanting to cool off at all. I just showed you why. Does that agree with what the stock market's doing, since the SPX, you know, essentially dictates Bitcoin price to a fairly large degree? As of the last couple of days, it hasn't. So let's take a look. Same purple line. Rejection, rejection, large bear market rally, went below, rejection. That's pretty similar to what happened, right? Large bear market rally, came below, rejection, just like this one. Large bear market rally, failed. So above the purple line here, purple line, failure. Here, let me zoom in. And this is back in late March, early April. Failure pattern above. Can't hold it as support, which is the definition of failure pattern, then rejection. So it's a failure rejection pattern. A very large failure, potential rejection-ish pattern. This would be like a mini failure pattern, failure pattern. But if you go to the weekly chart, this would be a rejection. Most likely. Let me go to the week, or did the week close above? The week has not closed above. So on the weekly, this could be a rejection pattern still, right? So yeah, it happens on both. The daily 89 is essentially like the mega bear market rally target. And it's when, you know, both the stock market and Bitcoin start using that support and making higher local highs. That's when the chances of a bear market being over are very, very, very significant, because the daily 89 is pretty close with the weekly 10 EMA. And when the weekly 10 EMA has a positive slope and you've made local highs multiple times, it's not certain, but it is to say that your local lows could be like, or have a strong chance of being the ultimate lows, right? Or just of that cycle. And that's the low. And any new lows out in the future, it's its own different low, and it has no comparison point to that, right? So it's essentially the threshold where the probabilities start changing. We haven't seen that yet because neither the stock market has used this as support, neither has Bitcoin. Hell, Bitcoin's only gotten its head, you know, bumped on it, and it did a couple failure patterns, but mostly rejections. So we're very far away from that point. So that's why the purple line is there. Little backstory, all right? And then the other horizontal that I had here, so those are the downside targets. Okay, what is this horizontal? That is below the daily 89. Why would price go back above the 10 but come up shy of this purple line, which was, we just saw, is an obvious target? Why would that happen? Well, if you look left on your chart, here we go. I'm on the 1 hour chart. I'm gonna zoom out and scroll left. You know what? I might even go to the 15-minute chart. Maybe I do need the 1 hour chart. Oh, here it is right here. I already have it. There you go. So the 15-minute chart, take a look at this. See how price accelerated to the downside and had a hesitation point there. There is a reason why price did a juke. Because, look behind me, the sellers who were selling this big down move, right? They paused there for a reason, because they knew that's where buyers had incentive to become buyers and other sellers had incentive to stop selling so hard. So let me zoom way into this point. And if you go farther left, you'll see why the algos did that, why this hesitation existed, right? It hesitated there for how long? Like 5 or 6 hours or something. 5 hours. Okay. And so why is that a pivot point of buyers and sellers? Well, if you look even farther left, you have this low here. It's just a bunch of wicks down, and you have wicks up, wicks down, boom. Let me make myself small. And that's why. So even on a heavy downside move, the sellers and the algos decided to take a minute to see what the buy power would do. This is literally the sellers taking a break, not stopping selling, but just like if you're sprinting, it's going to a jog and catching your breath before sprinting again. That's literally what this is. And so as they started to jog, they looked behind themselves and to say, hey, are the buyers going to want to catch up? And the buyers never did. So they said, okay, screw it. Let's keep going. Boom. And that's what that is. Like literally, that's not even figurative. That's all right. And then, so if we go here, because it was when the bears were in such control during this downside move, if they took a pause there, if they took a pause, then the bulls trying to get into control, or they pretty much are in the short term. If the bulls are in control and they've been in control for less amount of times, they're also going to take a pause there, which could initiate a pullback. Does that make sense? And that is why you have did I label the upper targets for you? Let's make sure I've got these labels. So the horizontal, I think I had it labeled at the beginning, but let's slap that price on there one more time. Here we go. We got about 22,830, and then if price came up here, it should be just shy of 23,200 up at the daily 89 EMA. Click this video right here if you want to see my very last Bitcoin video where I anticipated how price was going to be interacting with the weekly 10 EMA and what to look for on the 1 hour RSI, so you can go back and get better at anticipating how price will move, so you can see how I did it. And then click this video right here for my playlist of most important crypto videos I've ever made. You just got Tim Avad Worldwide. Peace.